Welcome to Lord Pog Gaming. Our featured presentation is a game by indie developer The James Crick. Side Hustle. Music provided by Carl Casey at White Bat Audio. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, folks. And I'm your host, Lord Pog. Hello, you Golden Wonders out there. It's great to have y'all back for yet another show. On this episode, we're going to be looking at another game by the talented indie developer James Crick. It's called Side Hustle. It's out on Steam right now, and I'm going to tell you, the amount of detail James has put into Side Hustle as a solo developer, he really shot for the moon on this one. We'll get into all of that during the review segment.
Hold your horses.
For now, let me welcome y'all and humbly ask that if you like this sort of show I'm doing here, then please leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel, ring my bell for notifications, and leave a comment down in the guest book below. If you want to help support the channel so I can make this all look a little more authentic, then join the Patreon. I'll admit now, the Patreon isn't as polished as some of them out there.
Boo this man!
I promise, though, to any of you Golden Wonders out there willing to take a chance on me, that I can and will get better at all of this. Right now, you can find the rough draft of the first 3 chapters and prologue of my book, Gate Realm: The Three Sorrows Dark Crimson. It's a mouthful, I know, but it's free on Patreon, so go check it out.
Do it! Do it!
Before we get into talking about Side Hustle, though, I'd like to first do a little segment I call Movies That Do Deserve a Review. I'm a bit of a movie buff. I love movies. And I recently came across a movie called The Woman in the Yard. It's a 2025 horror flick produced by Blumhouse. But don't judge it too harshly for that. The fact that it's rated PG-13 would also seemingly work against it. Yet despite those 2 drawbacks, The Woman in the Yard is an enjoyable experience. Regardless of its PG-13 rating and its ties to Jason Blum, I found The Woman in the Yard managed to do something that movies these days haven't been able to do a lot of, and that is tell a good story without letting politics and asinine ideologies slap me in the face, telling me what an awful person I am for having been born.
You know what really grinds my gears? You, America!
We aren't going to get into spoiler territory here, but what I can tell y'all is the basic plot. A woman and her 2 children wake up one day to find a woman dressed in all black, like she's going to a funeral, sitting out on their front lawn. Who is she? And what she wants? Well, that's the whole mystery of The Woman in the Yard. She seems to have this really eerie presence and even more sinister supernatural abilities, effectively making the movie well worth the watch. Fans of David Lynch, the guy behind greats like Mulholland Drive and Dune. I mean the original Dune. Not the one with that twerp Timothy Chalamet, who couldn't fight his way out of a wet paper bag, so I don't know how he's leading the jihad.
How dare you!
Y'all might recognize that name, David Lynch, though. People might also recognize Lynch for creating one of the most mind-bending television shows ever in Twin Peaks. Sadly, Lynch passed away on January 2025, but I honestly believe that the writer, Sam Stefanak, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right, was challenging his inner Lynch when he wrote the script for The Woman in the Yard. Stefanak has been a part of writing for such shows like F is for Family, but The Woman in the Yard is his first feature film debut as writer, and boy howdy was it a good one. Just like Lynch, Stefanak will have the viewer wondering by the end how they should interpret what they just saw. The Woman in the Yard replaces the overused jump scares for a more cerebral, atmospheric horror that sticks with the viewer by the end. As a warning for any of you Golden Wonders out there, if you are easily triggered, and I really don't like that word, but if you are, be cautious while watching. The Woman in the Yard deals with some pretty heavy themes, as Stefanak was dealing with some of his own demons while writing it. You have been warned. It's directed by Zome Colette Sierra, which I probably butchered his name because I honestly have looked everywhere to see how to pronounce it correctly. I've only found one video that said his name, and I'm pretty sure I heard it wrong there too. So, Zome is the best I can do.
What the hell is even that?
Anyway, y'all might know him from movies such as The Orphan or House of Wax remake, and he's set to direct the sequel to Cliffhanger with Sylvester Stallone, no less. Cliffhanger is a whole other can of worms, and wasn't a movie I had on my bingo card that I'd ever see a sequel to. If, and I'm being honest though, it'll probably be better than the Star Wars sequel trilogy. And I never would have imagined that sentence coming out of my mouth.
Evil shenanigans.
So if any of you Golden Wonders out there are looking for a confusing but fair mind-bending horror that doesn't overuse the cliches of modern horror these days and actually has something to say, then check out The Woman in the Yard. I give it a personal 4 out of 5, but then again, what do my ratings mean? So how about that? Seriously, y'all should go check out The Woman in the Yard. Then come back and discuss what you thought about it down in the guest book below. I'm genuinely curious to hear about what other people's takes on it was, as it's that kind of movie that is real thought-provoking and who knows how people are going to see it. Now, let's talk about why we're all here, and that is to review the latest endeavor by James Crick. It's a science fiction horror game called Side Hustle, and I really enjoyed it. I've reviewed James's previous game, SHIATH, and I have had him on the show for an interview. Both can be found on the channel, but unfortunately, the interview file got corrupted somehow, so the audio came out rough at times. Still, it's a pretty good interview, and I encourage y'all to go check it out. James Crick is a really interesting guy, and I totally had a blast talking with him.
Totally.
With that said, the issues with the interview is a sort of good metaphor for some of the stuff I'm gonna have to talk about during the review. So without further ado, let's get on with the review of Side Hustle.
So what's the paper say about tomorrow?
Another scorcher.
Cool.
Okay, let's start with the uncomfortable part. Side Hustle has had a bit of a rough launch, meaning that mechanically, it didn't quite turn out as well as James would have liked. Normally, I don't do reviews where I have anything negative to say, or that is to say, the negatives are so minor they can be ignored for the sake of the review. What I'm about to talk about, however, isn't something that can be ignored so easily. It's important to note that the issues I was having might not be as profound with others since my PC is potato adjacent. My experience though, since I can't speak for others, was a twofold issue involving movement speed and animation lag. Starting with the movement speed, it honestly felt like I was moving through wet sand most of the time. Because of the setting, which we'll get to here in a bit, but because Side Hustle takes place on New Mars, at first I thought the movement was supposed to be a creative choice. You are, after all, in a spacesuit on a planet with no gravity. But the bursts of regular movement speed in places with less going on visually, that means less assets on the screen, I suppose, it wasn't a space simulation gone wrong. Because of this certain aspect of the game, it was pretty difficult to get through at times. The second major issue I was facing was the animation lag. Collecting the tetramats, then turning them in for a profit would often lead to causing my movement to slow even more. To me, it was as if the coding for both the movement and animation were conflicting. Anyone who has modded a game like Skyrim, for instance, will understand the principle I'm describing here. Two mods, just like sets of code, have to be placed in such an order that the system reads one set before the other, lest they conflict with each other, causing a sort of bugginess in the programming. Now, all you Golden Wonders out there are probably saying, why should we even play this?
Oh, well, allow me to retort.
Well, it wasn't easy having to say these things, first of all. And James, if you're watching, brother, know that I think what you did with Side Hustle is commendable. The sheer amount of effort that he put into Side Hustle is amazing. And he did it all as a solo developer, no less. Did he bite off more than he could chew?
You bet your sweet bippy I...
Yes, but I want all you out there to think about this for a minute. How many of us have been so passionate, so driven, so inspired that we were Icarus ourselves, flying too close to the sun? If your answer is never, then my sincerest condolences. Because those of us who have ever wanted to share our vision with the world know that sometimes we go too hard and too fast. We shoot for the stars, but accidentally faceplant into the sun. And for the record, I was nervous even talking about all of this. I felt extremely ungrateful. James Crick and I have developed a friendship that he even gave me special thanks in the credits of Side Hustle.
I promised myself I wouldn't cry.
So when I brought the issue to him, I apologized for even bringing it up. And I'm still not entirely sure that some of the issues aren't actually on my end. Let me tell you how humble and generous of a guy James is. He told me that Side Hustle hadn't exactly come out the way he wanted, and urged me to talk about the issues on this review, saying, and I quote, "I want brutal honesty, not false praise." Can you imagine a game developer who owns up to their own mistakes? Ubisoft needs to get in contact with this man. He could teach them a thing or two. Folks, if you don't have friends or are surrounded by people who you call friend, but all they do is agree with you, that's called an echo chamber, not friendship. See, true friends don't always agree with you. True friends will tell you the truth and let you know when you're messing up. If you don't have that,
wake up and get yourself to church,
then it's time to find better friends. Let me tell y'all why you should play Side Hustle and what one man managed to bring to the table of indie gaming. It's beautiful. I mean, the level of detail James Crick put into every aspect of the surroundings is phenomenal. There is so much fine detail in everything that the fact that one man did it by himself is astounding. One prime example I can give is the HUD and all the fine inlay and etchings on the breather mask. It's literally got filigree, ornament, designing all over it. That is so fine and precise, yet it also looks worn in places, as if you aren't the first to have donned this helmet, giving it history that breathes immersion into the game in such a subtle but impactful way. The atmosphere of Side Hustle is so unsettling, choosing the eerie feeling of isolation over cheap jump scares. Let me run down the plot for you real quick. Don't worry, we're not going into spoiler territory here. This will just be a quick rundown of Side Hustle's main theme. You're basically an outsider who is trying to earn their citizenship to the City of Light on New Mars. The way in which to do this is through a program called the Side Hustle, where you're put in an android graveyard and are tasked with either recycling these compressed diamond-shaped objects called tetramats, or alternatively, you can recycle old android parts and sell those. However, there is a third option, but that's a secret, and to learn that, you'll have to play Side Hustle.
Go away!
The android graveyard is so freaking unnerving. As you know, you're alone there, but every now and then you'll hear a noise, and this feeling like you're being watched begins to creep up on you as the days go by. Eventually, Side Hustle will make the player question everything. Are these androids looking more damaged today than yesterday? Is that one in a different pose? Did they move? And are there more here than before? To make a long story short,
You're a bit late for that!
Side Hustle does a fantastic job of simulating the effects of what isolation can do to one's mind. And I adore it.
Indeed.
Now, I know we already talked about the plot, but I wanted to focus on the story a tad bit more. Without giving too much away, one of the comments I read on Side Hustle's Steam page was about how, in so many words, the story doesn't go anywhere and that they just didn't really enjoy the game. To be fair, the reviewer does say it was probably their own skill issue, and that's a fair comment. I mean, you can't please 100% of everyone 100% of the time. Yet, I do find it funny that they said the story doesn't go anywhere, making me believe that it really was an issue on their part. It's a sprawling AAA Thank you.
It's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Is it a sprawling AAA studio epic? No. Does it hold the player's hand and spell out the message it's trying to convey? No again. But the story is very much there if anyone looks. The player has only so many days to collect Tetramats and android parts in order to buy their citizenship. There are new articles that can be read every day that will give the player an idea of the kind of future they live in. Coupled with the introduction by the mayor of the City of Light at the start of the game, that pretty much gives the player the entire story. Oh, as a side note,
Shut up, Arthur.
I'm probably not supposed to, but I love that mayor. He's everything wrong with late stage capitalism. But growing up in the South, I can't help but be reminded of a used car salesman from Dallas by him. I mean, it's a riot and I'm completely on his side. I said what I said. Again, the aforementioned secret in the game does add more to the story, yet it's not required to finish the game, but it adds a layer to the player's personality, since it's the only time in the game that I found where the player has to question their own motives. So while Side Hustle isn't the deepest of tales, it does have something to say, and what it is saying is profound if the player is only paying attention and uses their brain a little.
Check out the big brain on bread.
It's for these reasons I recommend Side Hustle, regardless of its issues. The whole vibe of it is something unique and genuine. There's a sense of urgency as the player collects in order to earn their freedom. Off in the distance, beneath a gorgeous moon, and I mean seriously, the level of detail in that moon is breathtaking. The player can see the City of Light. It's a beacon of hope. It's the final goal, but it's also a tormentor. Earning that citizenship is not an easy task, and nothing is as it seems. Side Hustle can be found on Steam for $3.99, and I'll leave a link for it in the description, along with James Crick's other game, SHIATH, which I did a review on also, and when you get done here, go check that out. This really was a learning experience for James, and if he can nail down what went wrong with Side Hustle while maintaining his exquisite attention to detail, I know whatever he does next will go beyond plus ultra.
Stop it. Get some help.
Sorry, that quote, I know. But that one was for my daughter. She loves MHA. Thank all you Golden Wonders for joining me for another review. Don't forget to leave a like, share and subscribe, leave a comment down in my guest book, ring my bell for notifications, go check out the Patreon and take a look at my book. Join if and it tickle your fancy.
No, please do not tickle my fancy.
And thank you to James Crick. Buddy, you're the best and I know you're destined for great things. And from my very heart and soul, I love all you Golden Wonders out there. Y'all come back now. Stay golden.